folks, it's Pro Prep here, so Andy and Steph, and this is the latest edition of Pro Prep Table Talk again.
Table Talk.
Table Talk.
Firstly, just want to say thank you to everybody who has been following us along, and if you are totally new to our channel, welcome. We are taking you along the whole process of our bodybuilding journey, but we're just talking everything really from pre, post, during competition prep, our training regimes, schedules, what it takes to be as highly competitive as you can be, and just everything we love about health, well-being and fitness. And yeah,
that's it. So there's a whole host of videos we've got out there already. So if you want, go and check out
our
how to set up a diet, what factors into that, things such as psychological mindset, what do you do about injuries. Milk was a recent edition of the Pro Prep one as well. We had girl talk, we had guy talk. So
we're going to do some more solos. So if anyone's got any ideas, just drop them in the comments.
Yeah, we'd love to hear them. So this topic we're going to do today is the post show, because everyone keeps asking us, what should we do about post show? Yeah,
and we're not there yet. But we're going to talk about it.
Well, I did a show recently, so we had a little post show from that.
Actually, that's a good point.
So it's maybe worth factoring that in as well with the post show as well. So, Steph, post show period. Let's hear your take on it, and then I'll chime in on this one.
Okay, well, I think what's really important to state straight off the bat is the more experienced you become with competition prep or just bodybuilding in general, the more you realize that it's really important to have a plan in place ready for when you actually finish competing, because it's all great gunning for the show date, gunning for that goal, but what happens next? And the thing is you might have been focused for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, months sometimes, on this one goal, and you know your mindset's programmed for that and everything else. And what a lot of people find is when they do the show, they come away from it and
they're lost.
They're kind of, they're a bit in limbo, a bit lost. The body's kind of done what it needs to do, if you like. And you are at this point, of course, where you've been in a controlled dieting phase for a very long period of time. So you've now got freedom. And with freedom comes confusion, actually, in terms of, what do I eat, or what do I do, or how should I train now, etc. And that's why I think it's really important to have a plan in place for your off season, or just a plan in place straight after the show, so and you've got some sort of routine to go into to keep your mindset nice and healthy. And that includes, I suppose, the decisions around what foods you eat, and also the decisions on what you want to do, whether you're taking a rest period, whether you're putting your body, giving it some downtime, whether you're going to eat some food and fuel the training straight away. You need to know all these factors. So that's my first thing I want to say.
Okay. I mean, a telling thing for me is when I know I'm sort of getting in shape, or I'm on the wire or whatever when I'm getting in shape for contest, is when I start planning my off-season training phases, when I'm starting to think about that sort of stuff while I'm still in the midst of the current competitive season. I know that I must have been on a diet for a very long time at that point, and if I'm thinking about what I'm doing after, then I'm probably in pretty good shape by that point.
Yeah.
Because you get total tunnel vision, don't you? Completely.
You do, and I think for early first-time competitors or people who are just starting out, and maybe they're just going for that very first show, and we work with quite a lot of clients at this point, well, just now, there's a temptation to get very caught up on what right after the show looks like, what the post-show meal looks like, or what foods they're going to eat, or, that kind of thing. And that can be a little bit dangerous in the sense that you can become kind of a little bit, I suppose, what's the word? Not obsessed, but...
I think obsessed is the word.
Yeah, maybe it is the word.
You can certainly say that.
You can become very focused on those sort of things like the high sugary foods that you're going to consume, the volumes of the foods. You start saving for being triple chocolate.
Oh, God.
Backward jumping pancakes that have gummy bears for eyes on your phone in multiple pictures.
Sorry.
I have no idea what I just said there, by the way.
But they sound great. They sound really, really. I can't believe it though when I encounter some really experienced competitors and they still stockpile food for the post-contest period. I mean, basically just binge eating after the contest.
And listen, we're no saints. Like, I know for a fact I've done that. I've done that.
Oh yeah.
I've done the post-show binge.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Right, here's an experience of mine. First year competing, came off stage after my a really successful year, and I put on. This is awful, but I put on 16 kilos. Yep, 16 kilos.
Wow.
Within 4.5 weeks, the first month. So it was literally the most ridiculous amount of weight gain.
Yeah, so probably
it's
about
like,
a quarter of your body weight or something like that, which is crazy.
It's the heaviest I've ever been, ever. And I mean, not just, through my entire life. And I remember going home for Christmas and my gran looked at me and she was like, "Oh, Steph, you're quite big at the moment." And I remember thinking, oh my God, my gran is like full on telling me I'm fat here. And my gran is amazing, but I felt fucking massive, excuse my French, but I felt huge in my own skin. I felt uncomfortable. I didn't enjoy the way I looked. I'd really blown out. I'd not managed my weight gain at all. I hadn't thought about the foods I was consuming. I kind of just thought it wouldn't do as much, and I had to learn the hard way, as most of us do.
Do you know what?
That wasn't a healthy way to leave a competition season.
Definitely not. I mean, do you know, there's a sort of myth that goes around this contest dieting that when you get in super ripped shape, that post-contest period is where you're going to make exponential progress or something like that. So you want to ram as many calories into yourself as you possibly can initially in that period so that you can get that post-show rebound and make extra gains. And it's a total myth.
It's total myth.
It's total nonsense. I mean, your body's in a state where it's been depleted for so long that basically whatever you put into your body, you're just going to soak back up. And what you're going to do is you're probably going to reclaim any lost muscle tissue thereafter, but you're only going to really improve your hormonal levels back to what they were before. And if you do make any real improvements in that post-contest period, it's probably because you're more motivated than you were before and you've got a better understanding of nutrition at that point and training at that point that you can make better gains. I don't think there's some magical post-contest melee of hormones that allow you to do it. Maybe you're a little bit more insulin sensitive, but I don't think that you're getting huge amounts of muscle mass gain in that period because you've lost a lot during that period.
You don't have to be putting on, like Andrew said, huge amounts of weight to make good muscle gain, or at least have good performance, optimal performance in the gym. And a lot of people have asked or spoken to me about this before, and I'm sure they have you. Steph, why do you stay relatively, good, in good shape or trim or whatever through the off season? Because bodybuilding is part of my life. It's not my life, and the rest of the time that I'm not bodybuilding, I want to look and feel good in my own skin. I want to promote a healthy, active lifestyle throughout my whole life, not just for competition phase. And
why we all got in here, wasn't it? Because we were health and fitness enthusiasts.
Exactly. And I think, you can still be in a small calorie surplus and maintain a good body composition whilst accruing some decent lifting, or some good muscle tissue in the gym. Us naturals obviously have to take that bit longer to do that, and it's a lot harder to do that. But it's not. You don't need to be holding a humongous amount of extra body fat to be able to perform well.
No, I mean, and the other thing is, anything you put on has got to come off at the other end when it comes to the actual contest diet. So, I mean,
you don't want to be in a really difficult spot.
Probably just as strong at around about 89 kilos, 90 kilos as I am about 94 kilos. About the same. So that for me, it's just excess body fat once I get to a certain point.
How many kilos over stage weight are you and how much do you hold away from stage weight in the off season?
In the off, I sit around about fighting weight about 89, 90 kilo, around about that sort of weight if I'm on my diet.
What's roughly your stage weight?
Probably about 81.
So you're
82.
looking at an 8 kilo difference.
Yeah, something like that.
around
Yeah,
that.
something like that.
And for me, it's
about
roughly
10,
around
12%.
Yeah, roughly around 6 to 7. Last
Yeah.
year it was a wee bit less. So
Percentages are probably about the same.
yeah.
And this coincides with the research that I did previously that sort of shows that most people, they're looking at around about 12, 13, 14% body fat
Yeah.
loss to get it, body weight loss to get in shape for a competition. And I mean, you can go higher than that, but again, like I say, it's all got to come off in the
Yeah.
end. And when you're dieting for longer and you've got to lose more body fat, typically the diets are more severe.
more severe,
and
harder
you-
on the mindset, harder on the body, longer.
Yeah. Yeah, and potential muscle mass loss.
Yeah.
Now, the post-show period, I mean, what I would say on this sort of post-show period is, the approach that you're going to take after your competition, it really depends. And it depends on a number of factors. You've got to consider, you do your competition, and the next question is, well, are you competing in the weeks that follow that competition? So if you've got a contest in 2 or 3 weeks' time after the contest, that's going to change what you're going to do after the show. Is it a qualifier that you've just done, and then you've got a contest 8 to 12 weeks thereafter? Again, that influences the contest prep that you're going to be doing in the post-contest period. If it's a case of, well, are you doing a show and then you plan to do bodybuilding long-term thereafter, so you plan to compete the year after that or 2 years after that? Again, that's going to influence
The
the
decision-making.
decision-making.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, is this just been a goal that you want to do a show and you only ever want to do the one contest? And then
you
that's
just
it.
decide
You
that's
just
it,
walk
yeah.
away after that. Again, that's different. So there's 3-4 different scenarios there, and it's not a one size fits all model, because some people are going to be looking to approach this contest prep, this post contest period slightly differently because they've got a different mindset.
Yeah,
Maybe
and
they need
that's
something.
something really interesting to just touch on here as well, is when you start competing, your whole perception of food, macros, proteins, fats,
Yeah,
carbs,
sure.
everything changes. You start looking at food as fuel, what it's
Yeah.
doing, what is it aiding, the breakdown, and once you start that, you never get away from it. So even when you're off stage, away from competition diets, comp prep, whatever, you'll probably do this, but you'll go to a restaurant, you won't even realise it, and you'll be looking at the menu and you'll be like actually analysing the meals. You'll be going, right, that's probably got about X, Y, Z of carbs. It's probably got
You
about
can't help
X
it though,
of
can
protein.
you? Because I mean,
No, you just can't. It's suddenly
contest
ingrained in you.
prep training, it gives you a significant amount of nutritional training.
Yeah.
It just does.
And that's a positive and a negative, in my
Yeah.
opinion, because it's a positive because you become educated about
Mm-hmm.
the foods that you're putting in your body, which is brilliant because you're learning. It's a negative because for some people, it can detach away from the enjoyment or the decision making
Yeah,
of just going
absolutely.
to a place and going, oh, I just fancy that, I'll just have that.
Yeah.
Instead, suddenly you have another thing there, almost
Mm.
kind of putting a little, it becomes a little bit more, I suppose.
It maybe takes the fun out of it a little bit.
Yeah,
it makes
I
it a bit
think
more
for
tiresome.
some people, that can be taken to an extreme.
Yeah,
and it can
absolutely.
actually become a problem.
Yeah.
You've really got to watch your understanding of foods, because just like an eating disorder, bodybuilding is a type of body dysmorphia in a weird kind of way, if not looked at and controlled well. Or I think it's important to kind of just acknowledge that you need to keep some balance in understanding kind of the whole phase.
I think that's a great term there. Balance is the thing now. I've been involved in bodybuilding now since I did my first show in 2006. So I mean, what's that? Are we 13 years of competing now, plus in our 4 or 5 years on top of that of training? I mean, I'm approaching 20 years probably worth of training actually in myself. And
Yeah.
one of the reasons that I've been able to stay in bodybuilding and doing this for as long as I've been able to do it is because in the off-season time, I know how to have downtime. I allow myself to get out of the habits of weighing foods consistently,
Yeah,
or just allow myself to have food if I want to have it. I mean, I don't even follow any sort of. I know some people like to do diet all week and then they have a scheduled cheat day. I don't even do that. I just eat foods that I want to eat.
I think you
and
want
it
the
goes
more
from there.
experienced you become as well. The more versed you are about kind of knowing what size portions look like and things like
Sure,
that,
sure.
which is really good. And you know as well, like you become well versed in knowing that what foods have high sugars and what foods don't.
Yeah, sure. And
It's just like you say, it's just having freedom to be okay with deciding and choosing,
Yeah.
and not being so rigid all the time.
the other thing is, I mean, because of, like I say, I'm very experienced and I know balance, I'm very aware of my own habits, and I can spot within myself disordered eating behaviour, and I know that I have to establish healthy relationships with food again, and not feel guilty about things in that post-contest period, because I know that that's not healthy. So I make an effort of just eating things so that I can have balance, I guess in my life. So we've talked a lot about some things here related to the post-contest period. I think the one thing you should definitely take away from this is it depends on what you're doing in terms of what your goals are thereafter the competition.
Yes,
but I think we should maybe try and put down some practical advice now. So I sort of say, if anyone's going to do a competition, regardless of what the goal is, after the competition, I would say go and have a meal at a restaurant of your choice after the show. After the show, just go and get something. Don't go crazy. So
have a start, have a main, have a dessert.
You
enjoy
can do
some
it.
time with
It's
your
fine.
family.
Yeah. Enjoy the
Have a
whole
glass of wine.
experience. Have a glass of wine if you want to have a glass of
Or
wine.
whatever your drink
If you're
choice is.
competing the week after or something like that, don't worry, because your expenditure has probably been super high that day. You've been stressed, you've been posing and all that sort of stuff. You've probably not eaten enough even though you've carved up and stuff. You've probably been depleted all week.
Yeah.
It's probably not going to do that much to your conditioning. Sometimes people even are fuller and look better the next day. By the time you get to Tuesday or Wednesday, you're looking back on it like you did for the contest period. So don't worry about it, yeah? So first things first, go and have that meal.
Yeah.
I would not necessarily recommend stockpiling food in that
Don't
period.
pack your cupboards full of stuff ready to have, because it'll be, I'm just going to put it out there, it'll be a head fuck for you, right?
Yeah.
You will think it's all going to be great and you've got it all there and you'll really enjoy it after, but trust me, you'll have a meal off that night, you might wake up the next morning, have a nice breakfast, maybe have that day off too, and then your head will start to play tricks on you, especially, and this is for people who are just starting out, because you've never experienced this before, and just like you never experienced the contest day before, you've never experienced the post-show feelings either, and they can be really intense if you're not used to kind of this sudden dramatic change from the routine that you've been in. So I agree, don't stockpile foods, just have a few things maybe ready just to enjoy.
Yeah, some nice foods,
But
that's
nothing
fine.
like, don't be going out and packing your cupboards full of like every piece of chocolate and biscuit and cake and everything under the sun, because it can get out of control.
It probably depends on the sort of person you are. I mean, I'm more of a savoury person, so I wouldn't go for chocolates and sweets and stuff to fill myself up. But that's just me.
We like bread.
Yeah, we do like bread.
Like
the other
a big
thing,
beefy tiger loaf.
yeah, really good.
I could do with one of them right now.
So the danger though is, if you go on a post-contest binge, you can leave yourself susceptible to something called refeeding syndrome. When you've got all that sugar, all that salt in your body, you end up feeling absolutely awful. You'll probably end up with some sort of gastrointestinal issues because your stomach's shrunk from eating such small foods. You're not used to eating such large volumes.
You will literally swell up like a balloon.
Yep.
You will feel just awful. You'll feel...
Now, yeah, when I say refeeding syndrome, it's probably only a mild degree of that. I mean, it's not going to be full-blown refeeding syndrome whereby you are susceptible to, well, in some cases, mortality and death and starvation victims. But I've known people who have ended up with Bell's palsy from consuming too much food post-contest period, just ramming it into themselves. So there are real dangers of just actually going out and binging for days and days and days and smashing 5,000-6,000 calories after you've just been eating 2,000 calories for the last 18 weeks. It's not healthy for you. It's not good for you. It'll just mess with your head and it'll mess with your physiology and you'll feel absolutely goddamn awful.
Yeah. I mean, just going back to that point as well, like, look, nothing is going to happen to you if you come off stage and you go and have a nice meal. Nothing's going to happen to you. Don't wake up the next morning and do guilt cardio. Been there, done that. Loads of people do that. Don't do that. Enjoy some meal. Look, the evening of the show, the day after, having some treats here and there are not going to do anything detrimental. The important thing is that you've got a plan, either with your coach or if you're well versed yourself, you've got a plan to maybe the day after the day of the show, for example, if your show's on a Sunday, take the Monday off. Maybe come from Tuesday, get back into some consistency with the previous diet you've been on. Get back into having your meals as normal. And then if you're anything like me, this is what I do. I get back onto diet, sounds a bit extreme, but I get back onto diet for probably about 3, 4, 5 days. And then I start to slowly trickle in more food. And I will reverse out, this is the way I do it, over the next few weeks where I'll add in a bit more food week on week. And I'll probably stick clean Monday to Friday, and then I'll enjoy some nice food on a Saturday until a point where my mind is balanced, I've come away from the show, I'm feeling a wee bit more able to adapt and just start to choose different foods. And then I'll start to be more flexible with my diet thereon. But for about a period of 4 weeks post-show, I will revert back to what I was eating, weekly trickle more food in, have a day off on a Saturday, and then about a month after, I'm there to be a bit more flexy. That's how I do things.
That sounds okay to me. Now,
meanwhile, enjoying some beastie training again.
Yes, definitely, which is the most fun. Now, I've mentioned a few things here. It depends what you're going to do, right? If you've got a couple of shows that are lined up thereafter, you've got the first show, then you have that meal, and then you more or less, you've got to get back on your training, typically because you probably need to get in better shape.
Yeah.
And that's just the reality. If you've got a qualifier in 12 weeks, well, you've got a bit of time. And what a lot of people will do is they'll try and gain a little bit of weight, not to try and ruin their condition or anything like that, and then they'll come back down with dieting. So that means you've probably got a bit of a window where you can have maybe some food for a week, maybe, not too much, as long as you're sensible, and then you can you go back on your diet thereafter that. If bodybuilding is the long-term goal, you've got a couple of shows lined up the following year, then you're probably looking at an off-season plan, and it's an increase in the quantities of the foods that you're eating probably during the diet, because the foods that we eat during the diet are usually...
They're good foods.
They're typically the same as the foods that you eat in the off-season. You probably just eat more variety in the off-season. So that's your long-term approach. You're going to consume just more foods. You're going to try and not gain too much weight, because maybe when you started off you weren't in great shape to start with, but now you've got a contest weight. You know what your first contest weight is going to be. So again, you're probably not going to want to gain more than 10-12% of that weight thereafter, unless you've significantly over dieted and it's clear that you've lost a lot of muscle mass.
One thing we haven't said, don't feel like you have to go into the gym right away. Give your body a break. Give your body a breather. I think it's really important to say this. You've been, whether you realise it or not, hammering your body through the resistance training, the cardio, the early starts, the late nights, the food prep, the whole thing is a physical and mental challenge. And you are in a way, towards the end of the comp prep, you're on a kind of an adrenaline. You're just going towards that goal, and you're kind of on just autopilot. And then when you get there and you do the show and you come off, you might be aware of how tired you are, and I mean emotionally, physically. You might also feel like your body is just gone vroom, and it needs a break, it needs a rest. I always love post-show having a few days like stretching, going for like saunas, enjoying some downtime, maybe go and try something totally different. In Miami last year, or the last time we were in Miami, I went and did yoga for like the whole week after the show. I loved it. It like just stretched me out. It felt awesome. And then I had some downtime, and then I got back in the gym the following week. So just a note on re-energizing, I think, is important.
Yeah, I mean, I think bodybuilding's the only sport, I think, in which people actually, when they get to that contest and they do the season's over, that they then the next day want to go in the gym and start training again for the full contest season the next year. They actually have no downtime at all, and it's kind of crazy when you think about it, because your NFL football season is quite short, rugby seasons, football seasons, all sports have got this period whereby they get to the end of the season, the athletes take 3 weeks, maybe even more than that, off training completely to recover. They don't let themselves get too out of shape.
Yeah.
They maybe do a little bit, and then after that they've got that pre-season phase.
Yeah.
So I always think it's a little bit crazy. And I mean, do you know what? I batter myself in the gym for 9 to 10 months of the year,
Yeah.
and then after that, what I'm going to do is I'm not always certain I want to train again as soon as I've finished the bodybuilding season. So I'm perfectly all right with going and doing something else, with going and doing yoga or something like that. Sounds great. I'd love to do things like that, or Pilates or something, but just give my joints, God, my joints are rest from all that hard training for all that period, just so you can recover.
As well that a little bit of recovery time is only going to help replenish everything, and when you come back into really like thinking seriously about your gym training plan, that
Yep.
is fun to then start thinking about what you want to achieve in
Yeah,
terms of your
sure.
lifts, your goals in the gym, what type of training
Sure.
you want to start doing again. Is it going to be bodybuilding? Is it not? Is it going to be performance based? Is it not? What is it? That's all really exciting, but giving your body a break and coming back into that, you're just going to feel like a new human.
Yeah, you get a
You'll
new
just
lease
feel-
of life, don't you?
you'll feel
You're
better.
motivated again. You're motivated
Yeah.
again. The other thing I'll say is, some of the worst injuries I've ever got have been in that post-show period.
Yeah.
Where I've gone into the gym, I've been still depleted, still tired, not recovered fully enough, and I've gone and I've lifted weights and I've torn things or damaged things just because I've been going hell for leather because I've got the next contest lined up. I'm like, right, let's go or something like that. So you need to give your body that rest and recuperation, just so you can go back in there fresh. You can allow things to recover, and just so you don't hurt yourself.
Yeah, and if anything, if you're going to take some time off resistance, right? But say you, because a lot of people, there is an argument for and against people just dropping out cardio straight away or keeping it in. This is quite important, and I'm going to just speak personally from my experience. For my mindset, stopping all expenditure straight away would be catastrophic for me. It wouldn't work with the way I think, because I enjoy getting up. It's my time in the morning where I do, some walking to clear my mind, whatever. Now, just like I was explaining before about how I trickle in my food slowly, I trickle out my cardio slowly. So I take my cardio down slowly. So I might keep it relatively part of my first few weeks post-show still there. Maybe 3 times a week I might get up and do a walk, or I might do a small little HIIT session or something like that to keep things feeling like I'm moving the food around the body. Not that actually makes sense, but you know what I mean. And then I'll just start trickling it down to the point where I'm not doing any. And then in my main off season, I'm not doing any cardio at all, because that's not what my specific focus is at that time. But initially, to allow my mind again to adjust,
Yeah, I think that's perfectly reasonable.
I just trickle it out. So food trickles in and cardio trickles down. And that's kind of on a note on cardio.
So of the training, once you eventually get back, I mean, it can take quite a while. I mean, it can take you 6 months to get back to your previous 1 rep max. It does take time. And I've done the post-contest phase in a lot of different ways. And what I found is that strength training is the best way to get back to where you were before initially. Because if you do sets of 10, trying to get back to your previous 10 rep max, you typically don't get back to that previous 10 rep max, and it takes an age. It never ever happens. So the best way to do it is to get strong first, and then once you've got strong, then put the reps in thereafter. That's what I've always found anyway from it there.
No, I agree with that, yeah.
So I think that's a note on training. Of course, if you've got any imbalances, weaknesses in your physique, focus on them. But I think that'll do us on that topic. Same thing's true though if bodybuilding was just your goal as a one-off. Maybe you like the way you look at your new weight, and actually you don't want to be too far away from that weight because it's healthier. Maybe you came from being, say, 20 stone, you got all the way down to 12 stone, and that's fantastic, and it's not healthy to be 20 stone again. So maybe you just want to be 14 stone or something like that. Maybe that's the goal. So again, you're just going to have to monitor what you're doing, and then not let it get away from you, because your body's, believe me, once you've been dieting for a long period of time, you put those calories back in, you're going to want to, your body wants that food again. It wants to get back to where it was. So you want to be consuming high quality foods, just like you would have been doing during your diet itself. So
have a think about, like, sorry to interject there, but have a think about what you want to look like after the show. You know, think about actually what composition you want to look like. What do you want to walk around feeling like in your own skin? Because I'm speaking on behalf of women here, but when you're a more muscular woman, like me, or I'm sure other women have probably experienced this, you can put quite a bit of body fat on, and it gets to a certain point where it's like fat on top of the muscle, and you just are kind of like, on a guy it looks awesome because they just look big and like beastie and hench. On a muscular girl, it's like you just look a bit kind of, well, in my opinion, a bit puffy. I feel puffy. I feel a bit like just too big, if that makes sense. So have a think about what, that's my opinion of what I like to look. I like to look a bit trimmer. I like to feel healthy. I like to feel a bit leaner in the off season as well, while still pushing my lifts, you know. And I think it's important that you've got a feeling of what you want to look like. Maybe more so from a female perspective, because we, you know, it is a bit different for us. Guys can walk around with a big ton of muscle and a bit of body fat and look great. Us girls, we do tend to hold fat a bit more than the guys. So just be intuitive about the type of kind of look you want to hold.
Yeah, good point.
Quite important.
I mean, one thing that comes across as the central theme for all of this is that after the contest, you should have a goal. You should have something in mind that you want to try and either look like or a weight you want to try and be thereafter. Yeah. One thing I would sort of caution against is trying to keep condition for a long period of time.
Super leaner.
The contest dieting does do a lot of funny things to your body.
Yeah.
And you want to restore normal hormonal function. You want to get your psychology back to a healthy place. So that does mean you're going to have to consume those calories again and get yourself back up to a weight which your body is happier at, so that things can start working properly again and that your psychology works better again. I mean, particularly for a woman.
So that you don't feel like me before this video where my estrogen's fallen off the cliff and I feel like no energy.
Yeah, and then the other sort of thing, particularly from a female perspective, is we want to restore menarche as well. And it can take up to 12 weeks in some cases for people to get that back. And I mean, you're not going to get that back if you are still in a calorie deficit for a long period of time after the contest prep. So it's very stressful.
With females' bodies, we don't want to stay down in these kind of low body fat percentages for too long. The body will fight you, really will, in terms of your mindset, your hormones, your energy levels. You will think you're going nuts. You will wonder why you're feeling so lethargic. There's lots of different things you'll start to feel, and it's a challenge to keep pushing and keep pushing. So the more, like Angie said, the quicker you can get those levels back up post-show, the better it is going to be for your mindset, for your body and for your training. Because if you're anything like me, I miss the energy for training in this particularly this phase, and I'm suffering right now. My training I'm still lifting heavy, I'm still doing everything I can, but my energy levels are really, really testing me. And it's that when it starts to get like that, training starts to become not a chore, but it starts to become really hard. And I love the post show when you can just get back in the gym and
training is the most fun.
Training is
the most. That's why we all do this. We love training, and then bodybuilding just is something that comes along thereafter that we do the contest.
We do.
So the last thing I suppose we'll talk about here is what you've described what you do in the post contest period. I mean, my post contest period is not too dissimilar. I eat the same during my diet as I do in the off season. I just eat larger quantities, so I'll have a meal. Typically, because all I buy is that food anyway, the house is just full of that food, so I just eat more of it. Yeah. And then I try to regain the weight and get myself back up to something approaching that sort of all-season weight. It's really hard, actually. I think my body really fights trying to put the weight back on sometimes. Like, I get really sweaty. It's funny. Yeah,
that's something to be aware of, though, because obviously you're thermogenic.
It's huge. It's massive.
That side of it, the heat of eating food,
you
will notice that you are sweating like a beast in the gym, you're training, it takes your body quite a while to adjust to kind of the thermogenic effect of the higher foods, the more calories you're eating. So that's something to be aware of.
So I just eat basically the same sort of stuff as I do, and then as I say, if I want to have a food, then I'm going to have it. But I find that if I eat junk food, like I get spots, I don't feel as well, I get lethargic. So I tend to stay away from it. Plus, like, I'm always conscious about sugars and the effect it has on my teeth. So
yeah, I mean,
I've only got one set.
I think
so
a really good way, a basic way to look at it, and I advise this to our clients as well, is having a post-show plan where you've got a routine planned, because the majority of it isn't. The problem is never really kind of the fact that you need to eat more and replenish your stores and everything else. The problem is here. And it's giving your mind an understanding of what you're going to do after the show, which will then go, I know why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I can reverse out, and it's okay. And I know some people gel with this term reversing out, some people don't. I like it because it's kind of a good way of understanding that slowly we're going to trickle things back up, calories are going to go back up, and Monday to Friday you're going to stick relatively clean, then Saturday you can have really nice food. You know what I mean? It's a good way of giving you a bit of routine and clarity, and it keeps people kind of accountable to that. And then when you're in a position where your mindset's healthier again and you've come away from the show, then you can start to have more flexibility. People can adapt easier when they've had time to adjust the mind. And it's mostly the mind that's kind of...
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I remember you walking around supermarkets and you're looking at food and you're like, you don't know what I have because you've been having the same things for so long.
It's a funny feeling.
It's a funny feeling that you know that you should just be picking food because to get that diversity. So it does take a little bit of time to adjust. Okay, last thing. What's your post-contest meal then, Steph? What is it?
Quite a few people know mine, but I'm a big pizza girl. But I like a burger too, and I know you like.
Yeah, I'm a burger guy. That's what I'll go with. I could go a steak or something, but for me, it's got to be a burger.
And for me, it's a pizza, garlic bread.
Doesn't have to be like a really fancy burger. It can just be a burger with cheese. It doesn't have to have like onion rings on it and bacon and all that sort of stuff.
Andrew just did the UKBFF show a few weeks back, and
Tony Macaroni's we went to?
We went with friends. It was great. We went with a couple of friends.
Yeah.
We had Tony Macaroni's. We celebrated. You had a burger and fries.
Yeah.
And we then got a sundae like this size
of Steph's head.
Yeah.
It was massive.
And I ended up eating most of it.
Yeah, she ate most of it, yeah. It was for 4 people and she ate most of it. It wasn't even my
show and I ate most of it.
There's some funny pictures of her just like looking at it, like a wee bit weird.
We had fun though, and you know, go enjoy your meal with loved ones and family and people who like really support you, and just enjoy it. Enjoy every mouthful, even it doesn't matter, regardless of your placings, wherever you've come. The journey to this stage is one you should be really, proud of and commend yourself for the hard work that you've done. There's only a small percentage of people that can put themselves through an entire contest prep and stay strict to the process. It's an extreme thing. We've said this millions of times before. And regardless of where you come, just to acknowledge the hard work that you've done to get there is awesome, so enjoy it. Okay, so quick summary. What you do in the post-contest period depends on what your goal is after the show, yeah? Set a target in place after the contest of what it is you want to achieve. Is it a weight? Yeah, is it a weight? Is it a look? Is it a look? Don't gain too much weight thereafter, however. Don't be too stringent with keeping your weight low, because you want to restore normal healthy function. And up here, this is where it really matters. You need to try and restore a positive mental mindset and have a good relationship with foods again there after the contest period. Be prepared to take some time off. Put milk back in your coffee. And then I think is that everything? Oh yes, of course. Regain the weight, and then resetting this is important. So do what you need to do for that, but try and restore see friends, do things, healthy balance. Yeah. Get some balance back in your life. So that's Pro Prep signing out. Post show, done.